From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Emily Bloom. Thank you for joining us. Our Cronkite News reporters work in teams to cover specific issues important to all Arizonans. Those beats range from borderlands to business, from education to government and justice. Tonight, we highlight stories from our sustainability team to see how new scientists are looking at urban heat to water conservation.
40% of our state's water reserve is stored in Lake Mead, but the Colorado River, which feeds it, has been in drought for over a decade. The fiscal year 2018 executive budget summary discusses a plan that will help conserve water. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein traveled to Lake Mead to see what impact the proposal could have. A new report by the Western Water Advocates shows Lake Mead is being drained faster than it can be refilled. If it drops below certain levels, water access will be reduced. Farmers would be the first to feel the effects of the shortage, and those who depend on agriculture are already trying to prevent that. The Colorado River runs alongside Parker, Arizona. Many depend on the river for tourism and business, and the Colorado River Indian tribes rely on it for their primary economic activity, agriculture.
It started off with our canals being built years ago into watering our farms.
But there's less water in the river due to an extended drought lasting for close to 17 years.
If you went up to Lake Mead, you could see that line that shows where it used to be and where it's now.
Today, the water level stands at 1081 feet. If water elevation drops below 1075, 1050, or 1025 feet, the water delivery to Arizona and Nevada is reduced at each step. That means for those involved in water conservation efforts, it's all hands on deck. Bureau of Reclamation spokesperson Rose Davis says there's a chance of shortage in the next couple years.
Our current predictions based on our August 24-month study, which kind of sets out the water deliveries for the following year, says that in 2019 we've got about a 33% chance of shortage in the lower basin.
The Colorado River Indian tribes have the oldest water rights on the river, and they would be one of the last to lose access. But the tribe proactively joined a pilot program to reduce their water use.
We fallow some of our lands. Instead of farming on those lands, that water that would have gone there would go back into Lake Mead.
The river is a big part of the Colorado River Indian tribes' culture, and Moses said they've been educating tribal members about what's happening.
It's a little disturbing to people when you find out, when they say, oh, you're not going to farm there, because we've been farming for so long, and then we say, oh, we're not going to farm there. Why not?
According to the 2018 executive budget summary, Arizona has been in negotiations with California, Nevada, and the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to prepare a plan that will conserve water in Lake Mead. But there is a cost, and Arizona's share would be $2 million per year for 3 years. In the broadcast center, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
Looking ahead this week, we might be seeing near normal temperatures, but it's only a break from the record high temperatures we've been hitting and setting through the better part of this summer. One ASU scientist is taking a look at how the heat gets trapped in urban areas. Emily Bloom shows us what he's studying and how it could impact weather forecasting.
Well, one ASU student is researching our urban heat island with hopes of a slightly cooler future.
Peter Crank, a PhD student at ASU, describes to us exactly how it feels to be researching the urban heat through our Phoenix summer.
Our goal with this research is to help us better understand the relationship here in Phoenix specifically between the surface temperatures in the urban areas and the air temperature.
Through this, he is hoping to better understand how urban heat flows, how all factors relate to each other, and the magnitude of each.
If all goes well, we will understand the relationships between the different aspects of urban areas, buildings, energy consumption, cars, people.
And part of the data collection included taking to the skies for thermal imagery data.
We could see that there are major issues with the way that we are designing our cities, and that if we were to redesign and restructure, that would have a drastic impact.
This will hopefully help us create a way to live in the desert that is a bit more comfortable, sustainable, and affordable as our city continues to grow.
It may be that we find that no one change that we could make in the urban area is going to have much of an impact. But if we make small changes across a variety of different factors, that collectively they could result in a significant change for the urban heat island.
Mary Wright, who studies biometeorology as it affects humans, helped collect data.
I think it's important that we just better understand what's going on with all that so that we can address it and make some changes.
And as soon as they have a better understanding, they look forward to teaching others.
The best thing about this is simply the ability to understand the environment around us, to better understand how the atmosphere, nature, all of that work together, and how we as humans are a piece of that. We're not disconnected necessarily from that, but we are an integral part of it.
As we face record-breaking temperatures today, it's almost impossible to ignore the reality that something is changing in our climate. I had the opportunity to sit down with some experts in our area and talk about the weather we are seeing today and what that means for our future.
These are very high temperatures. There's going to be deadly heat that's coming. Unfortunately, people will die with this heat wave. There's a lot of vulnerable populations out there.
The temperatures we are feeling today, extreme, even for the desert Southwest.
We can have two signals that are in there that help give us our increasingly higher and higher temperatures.
And recent research shows it's not getting any better. A recent report by Climate Central and the Weather Channel predicting 130-degree temps by the end of the century.
I'm not going to say that it's impossible, but I think it's extremely unlikely.
Inigeth says it is more likely we will see a broadening of our heat season.
So all the signals we're seeing for the warming, they're the two primary drivers that we're going to be seeing for that, whether it's warmer record overnight low temperatures or the expansion of the heat season. So those two primary signals we're seeing, the urbanization, that urban heat island, and also the background regional climate change that's taking place.
ASU grad student Kayla DeVault, who studies renewable and sustainable energy and attended the United Nations Climate Change Conference last year, is also concerned about urbanization.
A lot of unintelligent infrastructure. And I think part of that population boom meant more infrastructure, it meant more heat retaining materials that creates the urban heat island. And it also means more cars, more pollution, more use of water.
The urbanization is going to be the larger contributor here in Phoenix to more record high temperatures, as opposed to the regional climate change.
David Hondula with ASU School of Geographical Sciences and Urban Planning studies the effect of heat on our health.
And in many places for which data are available, heat-related deaths are on the decline.
What is unclear at this point is whether that is attributed to more access to the AC, a general increase in life expectancy, or an adaptation to the heat. And as for our future,
that's where a lot of our work focuses on, improving our forecast, and then how do we better get that information out to our partners, who in turn will act on that information to help mitigate the impacts from the extreme heat.
Hondula says researchers are studying this current heat wave, and it will help us learn a lot more about the impact that this kind of heat has on our health.
For power providers and regulators, electricity is an increasingly complex equation that combines new markets, new technology, and new consumer demands with no easy solution. That's what the Arizona Corporation Commissioner spoke about this week at the Grid Evolution Summit in Washington. Reporter Noel Lilly was at the summit.
Nobody even saw this coming, so we had to sort of start rethinking how we do regulation.
Our homes, our jobs, and nowadays even our cars depend on electricity to survive. But Arizona Commissioner Doug Little says that the modern electrical system has evolved quicker than providers and regulators ever anticipated.
What's happening in terms of the way that the industry is evolving, and in terms of the technology innovations and the way the industry is changing, people are asking their utility companies today for things that 25 years ago they never would have considered asking for.
Things like energy storage and different sources of power are good for consumers, but require quick adaptation from power generators and regulators.
I found Commissioner Lobby really thoughtful about these issues and really wanting to take an approach to allow and enable more innovation.
Tanush Diora, who moderated the panel discussion featuring Little, added that these topics, although unfamiliar to most, are essential to everyday life.
I mean, it touches our lives all the time, right? All the equipment here uses electric power. Really, the electric power system is fundamental to modern civilization. So on some level, everyone should care. But of course, we often take it for granted because we just expect it to be there when we need it.
Diora also said that new developments in the power industry will continue to lead to better options for customers.
There's a number of different technologies that have come in that are really changing about how consumers can think about consuming and even in some cases producing their own electricity.
Noel Lilly, Cronkite News.
With these hot summer temperatures, it can be tough to find a cool place outside, but adding some green can help. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Fingert shows us a nonprofit that is hoping to do just that.
The Nature Conservancy in Arizona, with the help of a nearly $125,000 grant from the Vitalist Health Foundation, hopes to cool hot neighborhoods in the valley using a variety of techniques, most notably plants. At a church in downtown Phoenix, a landscaping design has been providing an oasis to the area for years. Now, the Nature Conservancy of Arizona is hoping to replicate that on a larger scale.
If we scale this up and if we multiply the benefits, then we can have an even greater impact on the health of people.
Utilizing green space, shade awnings, and of course trees, the goal is to cool valley neighborhoods using a mostly natural approach, and it can even help improve the health of the residents.
Illnesses are exacerbated by heat, so a lot of those hospitalizations occur in areas where there is no vegetation and these kind of concrete jungles.
It's about 11 o'clock and the temperature outside is about 101 degrees, but on the pavement in the sun, it's reading 140. But when you walk into the shade, the temperature drops to about 105, a huge difference.
We're actually getting a cooler surface temperature here, and by some estimates, that's anywhere from 20 to 45 degrees cooler, the actual surface temperature, thanks to the shade of a tree.
A mostly natural approach with hopes of solving a bigger problem.
Our ultimate goal is really creating a mechanism for healthier community design.
The grant money could fund vegetation in 3 neighborhoods. The Nature Conservancy is still determining those locations.
A proposed water tank is causing quite the stir in Sedona. I spent the day in the neighborhood to hear arguments for and against the new facility. Residents in one Sedona neighborhood want to shut down plans to build a water tank. They say it would negatively impact their views. The Arizona Water Company already bought the land and say the tank is needed to keep water flowing to residents.
We don't want to wait until people are running out of water or it's a crisis situation before we start planning a new facility.
Some residents are upset over the location. The proposed tank would sit 2 feet above ground, along with an operations facility just beyond Kevin Bracken's backyard.
As we dug into it even more, it even became apparent that maybe they didn't do their homework ahead of time.
Right here in this lot is where the 9-foot tank is planned to be built, but you won't see much of it. Most of it will be built underground. The only other source of water is located across town in uptown Sedona. The proposed million-gallon tank would more than double the water supply, a much-needed boost, according to Rick Evans of Sedona Fire.
With some of the larger homes here, they can be in excess of 10 or 20,000 square feet. They could easily use well over what we can currently deliver.
Arizona Water Company has considered other locations since 2012, including within the Coconino National Forest. The water company says the tank has to go somewhere.
Educate them a little more on what it takes to run a reliable water system, and we're hoping.
We agree we need a water tank. We just say, my gosh, why would you do it here?
For now, the water tank project is paused. The Arizona Water Company won't move forward until the next public meeting, not yet scheduled, but Bracken may take legal action if the tank is built.
We would definitely consider it, without a doubt.
New research shows the interest in electric and hybrid cars is on the rise. Alexis Arms shows us what's driving the increase.
Gas prices have fallen 40% lower than 5 years ago, but according to a recent study done by AAA, more than 30 million Americans are likely to buy an electric car for their next vehicle.
Right now, my car gets about 60 miles to the gallon, but I think I could do a lot better with that, so I'm thinking about trading my car in and getting something a little more environmentally friendly.
A poll from the University of Texas at Austin found that 91% of millennials believe climate change is happening.
It's not really about gas prices for me, it's more what I'm doing for the environment, because gas prices are pretty low, but at the end of the day, knowing that I'm contributing to the cause for the environment, it's a good feeling.
Another leading factor in the green transition, technology.
Look at millennials. They love this technology. They're early adopters of it, and they want it in their next car. So we believe that electric vehicles are poised to be a very big staple vehicle in the future, and we believe millennials are going to be a very big part of driving that trend.
There are still concerns over how far a single charge will take drivers, but according to AAA, the number of charging stations in the valley has quadrupled in the last 5 years.
They also say that the average round-trip commute is about 31 miles, well within the vehicle's 100-mile range.
If you are in the market for a car, it's not a bad idea to take a look at one. You never know, it might be something that you thought you would never drive, but once you get in it, you might love it, and it might be your next vehicle.
In Phoenix, Alexa Arms, Cronkite News.
The concept is simple. If it's broken, don't throw it away. Fix it. Cronkite News reporter Chantel Delagula shows us how one community is reducing landfill by saving the life of everyday items.
When we get a hole in our shirt or a wire becomes loose, usually we throw it away. But that's not the case here at Pasadena's Repair Cafe, where anyone can bring in what's broken and have it repaired by tinkerers and seamstresses.
Really use the resources that we have to create value for ourselves and for our own community.
The European concept of Repair Cafe was to fix basic household items, but Therese Brummel brought it to her hometown with a bigger purpose in mind.
This is the whole concept of Repair Cafe here in Pasadena, which is to build local community, emphasis on local.
The pop-up cafe is open to the public about 10 times a year. News travels by word of mouth. Volunteers bring their own tools, and venues donate their space.
You only take what you need, and you give back when you can. I think that the whole idea of Repair Cafe means less stuff goes to the dump.
To the average person, these gadgets can be challenging, but for aerospace engineer Peter Chang, it's a walk in the park.
A lot of these things are designed specifically not to be repaired, but in comparison to spacecraft, they're pretty simple.
It just helps with your basic budget to not always have to be buying new stuff.
Not every item can be repaired, but their goal in bringing community members together is accomplished every time.
We're trying to change the world one repair at a time.
In Pasadena, Chantel Delagula, Cronkite News.
We checked with the Repair Cafe organization. They're popping up in places like Seattle, Chicago, and the Washington, D.C. area, but so far, no locations in Arizona. Any local tinkerers are encouraged to contact the group to start a cafe of their own.
A new 27-acre composting facility opened today. Cronkite News reporter Emma Lockhart looks into how the city of Phoenix is making trash valuable.
Having a weekly option for the city to pick up the rest of our yard waste that we couldn't compost was a huge, huge benefit.
Mitra Kazi is one of the Phoenix residents already helping to fill the new composting station in Phoenix today. She gets a compost can from the city of Phoenix and fills it with organic greens and food waste.
When we studied what residents throw away, 50% of that's at the curbside container is organic material. So that's about 195,000 tons of material that could be used for other purposes.
When the organic waste is brought to the facility, water is first added to it. Microorganisms then start to grow and get to work.
Our job is to sanitize it, use the heat to make it pure and clean, and also to get rid of all the bad smells. All we have to do is provide the oxygen to the microbes. They do all the work for us.
The organic material is made into soil, mulch, and turf with advanced tools and technology. The facility also means a boost in job growth.
This is going to create anywhere from 10 to 12 jobs initially, and then over time it could expand to 20 to 24 jobs.
The new composting facility is another element of the City of Phoenix's plan towards zero waste and better sustainability practices. In Phoenix, Emma Lockhart, Cronkite News.
Residents can purchase a composting bin for $5 at the city's disposal facility, and the city will collect their yard and food waste on regular trash days.
In a 2011 survey, the Environmental Protection Agency found gasoline-powered lawn and garden equipment play a large role in dangerous air pollutants, and lawnmowers account for 40% of those products. Cronkite News reporter Laura Negrete visited the Fire Grazers, a team of 300 working to clean the air quality with their big appetite.
These goats aren't snacking on the job. Eating is part of their profession, and their annual visit in Rancho Palos Verdes has attracted some fans. These 200 goats are clearing pesky weeds, and another 100 travel 6 hours, eager to help out. Michael Choi says goats aren't as picky as other animals, which makes them the perfect employees.
They eat more in terms of the vegetation, so in terms of the fire requirements, goats actually work better.
He says what started off as a family trade to service fire-prone areas sparked another perspective, using the goats as a means to protect the land. It's all in holistic management.
High-density herds of livestock moving through, eating grass and stomping it in, fertilizing it, and getting it ready on a seasonal basis.
It takes one goat 1 year to repurpose 1 acre of land. But with the help of about 300 other friends, this little girl's hunger is going to go a long way in reducing our carbon footprint, cleaning up the environment one bite at a time. Choi says they're better than a lawnmower because there's no emission, plus they break down and repair the land.
They fix the land by mob grazing. It turns the grass into mulch and it fertilizes it, creates a perfect bed for the next generation of grass.
He says he's seen a difference.
You can feel the land coming back to life. What we do with the goats is a permanent solution.
The goats make their own hours, but with the size of the group, Choi projects the goats will be here for the week. In Rancho Palos Verdes, Lauren Negrete, Cronkite News.
A new state park is being introduced outside Camp Verde. Rockin' River Ranch would bring a lot of traffic to the town, and not everyone is happy about that. I hit the stables to listen to opinions from both sides of the park. Make your way to Rockin' River Ranch in Camp Verde and you'll find horses, historic buildings, and tall pines. Scheduled to open to the public in 2018, the new state park has plenty of personality, and Walter Varney plans to keep it that way.
The key thing for us is to maintain the character of the ranch. So when you go in and you first look at the ranch, you've got, you see the big open pastures, and any of the projects, any of the development of the park, we try to maintain the character of the buildings.
While they are trying to maintain the character of the property, there's still a lot of work to do in order to create a self-sustaining park. Plans call for 70 revenue-generating cabins and RV spots, which led neighboring homeowners to express concern for Salt Mine Road, the only way in and out of the ranch.
And we realized that Salt Mine Road was it's pretty much a dirt road that got paved. It hasn't changed a whole lot since then.
While the biggest concern for the park is the traffic on Salt Mine Road, one homeowner has a bigger concern in mind. Rockin' River Ranch is in Mike Noble's backyard, and when he looks at the 3 proposed site plans, he sees his property lined up with what would be RV parking.
I've got Texas Longhorns. They're putting RVs right up against my fence with Texas Longhorns. I guarantee you this, they don't mix.
Noble insists there are also artifacts that need to be protected and remains skeptical of the state's commitment to preserve the ranch's special character. To reassure neighbors like Mike Noble, the state has scheduled another meeting for community input in August. Once the site plan has been finalized, the state parks team hopes to begin work as soon as possible and open the park to the public in December of 2018.
You've probably noticed all of the construction in Central Phoenix, but you maybe haven't noticed the owls living on some construction sites. Cronkite News reporter Ivory Reiner shows us how Phoenix is home to hundreds of burrowing owls, once on their way to extinction.
These are burrowing owls. They make their homes under the desert dirt of Central Phoenix. The problem here, construction workers are tearing down their homes.
The nature of work at construction sites, using heavy equipment, scraping and scooping dirt to build something, is what will identify the presence of burrowing owls and actively displace them and sometimes kill them.
George Martinez started the Downtown Owl Project to build new homes for the owls.
These are the man-made owl burrows that the volunteers have made. At the end of the tubes, 5-gallon buckets. And I was told that it takes 3 hours to make 10 of these.
They will move between burrows, between these 4, between those down there. So we need to have multiple homes for them to replicate where they live in the wild.
The Downtown Owl Project has relocated more than 100 owls to safer grounds, and people like Bob Fox come to the rescue for any owls left behind on construction sites.
We have been training the environmental surveyors throughout the state
to identify correctly burrowing owl, sites, what to look for.
Burrowing owls are not at risk of extinction right now, but Martinez said they are a species of concern.
Take action now to make sure that this precious species does not decline any further.
Get everybody ahead of the game.
In Phoenix, Ivory Reiner, Cronkite News.
When visiting the Phoenix Zoo, you may assume that the animals you see there belong there, but that isn't always the case. I checked out the zoo to see how they are dealing with these unwanted visitors. The Phoenix Zoo has been experiencing some unwelcome visitors to the park, and it is coming from the water. Non-native turtles have been invading the moat outside the zoo since 1999, and it is taking a toll on the inhabitants that are supposed to be in the lagoon. Arizona Game and Fish Turtles Project Coordinator Christina Jones says the non-native turtles are outcompeting the other species in resources.
But it affects our native aquatic species. So we've got fishes, and we have native turtles, which in this area should be the Sonora mud turtle. Those animals should be abundant throughout the system, but because of all of the non-native pond sliders and various other non-native turtle species, it simply outcompetes, so it takes away the space that the native turtles would need for nesting and also their resources.
Because of this competition, only 2 out of the 882 turtles caught since 1999 have been the native Sonoran mud turtle. After the non-native turtles are captured, the male turtles are marked and placed back into the water, and the female turtles are sent to the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group to prepare for adoption.
The turtle conservation effort happens once a year here at the Phoenix Zoo, always leading up to World Turtle Day on May 23rd.
The Phoenix Zoo and Arizona Game and Fish hold this event to try and prevent future turtle dumping, as well as educating the public on a proper way to rehome a pet you can no longer care for.
This year alone, Arizona Game and Fish and the Phoenix Zoo caught 118 turtles. 93 were new and 25 had been captured previously. If you're interested in adopting a turtle, contact the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group.